Cue the music. It is not easy. Being green. Regulations, government, oil, Fibonacci style. You know, one thing I want to do on this channel is talk about some issues that are important to me. And one of the issues is local and small businesses. Boom, check it out. Licensing fees. This came out of the local Durango Herald. It says it ain't easy being green. Now, I'm John Fibonacci. I ran a mortgage company for 10 years. It was my second company to start. And so there's no human alive that is more passionate about the need for reasonable and growth enhancing rules. Again, I was in the mortgage business, so I was in arguably the most competitive, most regulated industry around. In fact, I was even online. So I was the first fintech in the most regulated, most competitive industry alive. And that was the mortgage business. So here we go. We're going to talk about licensing fees and how they are. And I think John Wade said it the best. Not John Wayne, this guy here. What's his name? He says, the state, city, and county licensing fees are definitely definitely costly and prohibitive to start a business. There you go. When we start using the words prohibitive to start a business and licensing fees, that right there is ground zero of our economy. And I saw this firsthand when I was out in California. Whenever I was, in fact, here you go. When I took this picture, train local. It's one reason why I'm such an advocate for small businesses. There you go. Train local. I was out in LA, and after my business, after Dodd-Frank put me out of business, I just decided to do a little bit of traveling. I went to Durango, Colorado. Then I went to San Francisco. Here I am. Nature lover, dad, stock trader, teacher, book reader, cannabis advocate, hashtag MRA, photographer, newbie comic. I love life. And, you know, I really saw this country in all its glory and all its wonder. In fact, it took me I was 40 years old before I really started doing traveling and reading and drinking delicious coffee. And I went to San Francisco, to Sausalito. I taught briefly at UCLA, read my Bible a little bit, a lot. Rediscovered a love for photography and trains. So there you go. That's who I am, John the Fibonacci. And one thing that I learned firsthand is how important small businesses are. Again, I was one. And you never really understand your country until you travel. And when you kind of take a gap year for adults, you know, we don't really think about gap years for adults, but, you know, taking a gap year and putting a pause on life and just doing some traveling, taking pictures and kind of getting right with Jesus, coming to Jesus, learning where the backbone of the country really is. And so here you go. That's sort of my story, and that's what this vlog's about. Just John the Fibonacci and blah, blah, blah. So licensing fees, and why is that important? Why should you even give 5 minutes of your attention or life to something as silly as something like a federally protected status or Dodd-Frank or licensing fees? Well, notice in that article that we just read that the word was prohibitive. So now what we're realizing is that having a license is even more important than having a college degree. And then we need to start asking questions like this. Mr. Fibonacci. There you go, John Fibonacci right there, San Francisco. That's the Bay Bridge, or excuse me, the Golden Gate Bridge. Bay Bridge is to my right. Beautiful, beautiful. I call San Francisco my soul city. So where am I going with this, other than showing you my beautiful travels, beautiful photography? So I want to go back to the original sentence by this John Wayne guy. Licensing fees are prohibitive to start a business. Well, when I was in LA, I noticed that to even have a lawn mowing business, the landscaping companies had to have a governmental license to cut grass in California. And I had just come kind of from my own kind of a civil trial, so I kind of had the court stuff on my mind, and then I really started to think about federally protected statuses, and I think, you know, when Hispanics who come to this country can't even mow grass because they can't get a license because they don't have a credit history or they don't have the right credit score, or maybe there's liquidity requirements, when we really start thinking about the role that requiring licenses to have a job, when we really start thinking about that, that should really scare us. Because we can keep an entire class of people unemployed by simply making them have a license. I know that's Jonathan Fibonacci for you, but we really need to start asking that question. Like, does the guy that sells your car, whether this one or the one you're driving, does he need to have a license to sell that car? Does he need to have a license to do your mortgage, to cut your grass, to paint your car, to cut your hair, to grow a plant? There is a place to have licensure. Like obviously if you're a neurosurgeon or you're a dentist or but do you really need a license for most of I don't know. That's the question I want to pose. And then I want to go political in a Jonathan Fibonacci way. Senator Sasse, and I hope he retweets me on this. He was right here. It says there has been a 600% increase in the number of jobs requiring a government license since 1950. Okay, so remember that, Senator Sasse. So the next time you hear about unemployment, low employment, bad employment, homelessness, you hear those words, think Senator Sasse and think, okay, is it tied to licensure? Because John Wayne says, and he's correct, when a license prevents you from being able to work, then it's illegal to work. Jonathan Fibonacci is out. Holy shit, that was so political. I hate taking things political, but sometimes you got to put down your camera, your beautiful cup of coffee, close out with some good music, and say, all right, let's see what we got. Lauren Dangle. Beautiful.
Let them see you and me. Who am I without your grace? Another smile, another face.
Buy her music.
Another breath, a grain of sand. Passing quick.
If you're an independent artist and you would like me to promote your music, you guys be good. Americana417 at gmail.com.